All right, is this money well spent? Doug Flynn joins us, certified financial planner and co-founder at Flynn Zito. He wants to talk about the Knicks, but that's enough. We had enough of that. We had a big segment. I'm sorry you weren't included in that. So you're stuck
No
with
problem.
Microsoft investing $3 billion in Wisconsin. We talked earlier about the politics. What about the business side of this for Microsoft and AI? What do you say?
Yeah. I mean, we've got commitments of tens of billions of dollars coming into the AI space, committed by the major tech companies. I think this is a big deal. I also think that some of the things they're doing with like setting up the thing at the University of Wisconsin in Milwaukee, that part is really good for the AI lab that they're doing. But the problem with data centers is there's been an explosion in growth in AI, but data centers are lagging behind in our needs. So that's exactly what this is. And even though that's the data center space has also gone up at about 26% in the last year, there's a lot more room there to go. So I think that is an opportunity, and there's a lot more where this is going to come from. Now, we're all waiting to hear what Apple's going to do, and we're still waiting. But Microsoft, good news from them, and a lot more to come from the other big companies too, I suspect.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting position to be in, right? It's President Biden's position today. I'm not going to ask you about the politics. I already talked to a congressman about that, but the president has anything to do with this. But this is a private investment from a private company. Yeah. That said, it's his position today on the campaign trail. President Trump on the campaign trail is not really out there today as a day off from his criminal trial. But there's an interesting article in Axios that I wanted to ask you about that actually we talk so much about other items around Trump that we don't dive into policy. What would a second Trump term be, especially when it comes to the economy? Yeah. And the Axios article talks about inflation, saying that his policies could make things worse on inflation, the Trump policies. They talk specifically about tariffs, about interest rates, making rates lower again, which he talks a lot about, and also about taxes, lowering taxes. What do you say?
I say it sounds like a fear-mongering piece, to be honest with you, only because, we heard all this about the tariffs, 4 years ago, about what was going to happen. And that didn't happen. So there's a lot in this that, it could be worse the way it's worded. But the thing that I'm hearing from clients, and I have clients on both ends of the spectrum, is that, they can say and write whatever they want. At the end of the day, I've experienced the Trump presidency. I've experienced the Biden presidency. You can tell me what you think is going to happen, but I already know how it is.
And what you mean is the tariffs, all the people in the business world said it would be a disaster, and you're saying that disaster didn't come to fruition.
Correct. And so now they're saying it again. So they're resurrecting these same things. They're trying to scare people. Oh, now we're to believe that what he's going to do is going to raise inflation. I mean, I don't know how many people actually believe that. And lowering, drilling and lowering gas prices is somehow bad. A lot of times we hear when we lower prices at the pump, it's like getting a tax cut for people. And then, of course, then they go into the tax cuts about how much it's going to cost. And they never do the other side of the equation, that if you raise GDP, does that more than cover it? I don't know. At the end of the day, what people are feeling is what's going to drive this. And so I don't know about, how the policies actually what could happen. But, anything could happen, I suspect. But at the end of the day, these things, I don't think, I don't know how much of a difference there really is between the one person at the top. Yes, the policies do make a difference, but at the end of the day, the companies that are still going to try to make the most money they can for their shareholders and deliver good products, that's all going to continue. And I think that, when we're talking about investing and in the market, you're buying good companies. It doesn't matter who the person at the helm is, even though they might have some impact on one particular policy.
It is an interesting point. I mean, it's kind of a good reminder. We get so caught up in all of this stuff. By the way, we have about 90 seconds left in the trading day. We'll give you the closing numbers at the top of the hour. One more topic for you, Doug. There's a survey out. American Express did this survey, I believe, about small business owners. And to your point, or our point about inflation, they said that is the biggest worry, any small business owners, entrepreneurs. So what would you say about the outlook? Yeah. What would you say about, a lot of people, including yourself, that own their own business? What's the outlook?
Right. I think a lot of people are like me. They're driven by some kind of personal passion. That's a key thing that drives you. The one interesting thing about this that I found is that people are starting those businesses earlier. So each younger generation is giving it a shot earlier. And I think that's really wise, because you're going to go out and not make it, because not everybody does make it in their own business. It's better to do that when you're younger and you have less responsibilities than later. But there's a chance you might succeed. And those chances are pretty good if you are committed to whatever your personal passion is. And so I think there are challenges. Obviously, when you own your own business, you have cash flow issues, you have cost of goods sold, your labor costs are, a lot of times out of your control. So you do the best you can, you sacrifice. And at the end of the day, no one's going to fire you when you're 50 if you own your own business. And I see that with people that work for corporate America. They get to that middle management part in their 50s. I get the call. I got bad news, and I already know what it is.
Another interesting way of looking at it. It's a tough spot for a lot of people. They make too much, and the companies are cutting back. Doug, thank you very much. Knicks or Pacers tonight? Think the Knicks go up 2, or Pacers even it up?
I think they do. All right. Go New York, go.
Thank you, Doug. There's your closing numbers. It's